Welcome back to the channel. We're here today at the butt of my 1995 Ford Escort wagon. There's a playlist for this car where you can go get all caught up, and I will link that right up here and down in the description for you. Our mission today is kind of a combined debacle. I've got to remove the rear interior sail panels to be able to access the rear strut bolts, which I did not think was something I would need to do today. However, something else that's going on is this car has had bad taillights since the day I bought it. This is actually its second set. These are used takeoffs and they keep cracking and breaking, and I'm not real sure why. So you can see here this one's all broken in, and this when I bought it used was completely fine. The one on the other side is that way too, and both the original ones that came with the car were broken in almost exactly the same way. So I decided the way to fix this must be to just buy new ones. Well, these haven't been made in forever, so you're buying new old stock, which I did. But for whatever reason, at least when I bought them, it was much easier to get new old stock ones for the next generation of wagon. So this body style went 93 to 96, and I think the next body style went 97, 98, 99, and I think that they were done with Escort wagons by then. I'm not positive though. That next generation, for whatever reason, they changed the taillight pigtails, so you can't actually use the same harnesses to put them in. So I actually bought the correct harnesses, and they do plug into the car loom, but I got to tear out the entire sail planes to get to them to plug them in. So today's the day to finally change out the taillights. On the bright side, I've got some super bright reverse bulbs to put in it, which I'm pretty excited about. And the lights I actually bought are for a Tracer wagon. There are very small differences between Ford and Mercury. It was that way forever, which is why Ford got rid of Mercury. But one of the differences on the wagons is that it's a completely red lens. So it's a US market specific lens. It's not an international market yellow lens. And I just think it'd look a little nicer. And what the hell, why not? If I had to buy a new old stock part and pay through the nose, let's get something a little bit cooler. So that's what we're going to be doing today. There may be some non sequiturs in this video where some parts are just here, then they're not, and blah, 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 as we're going back and forth between doing incredibly laborious and heavy-duty suspension work that is super dirty and greasy, and very light and very clean interior work. So we'll just see how it goes. We got to take the interior panels out, and I think this is probably the more appropriate video to show you that, so I will. So there is some good news about this job, mainly that this car already needs like an entire help kiosk of these little clips and stuff. Half of them are already missing and out of the stuff that we need to take off. And I've had the speaker grill assemblies loose for like 3 years from the last time I had all this stuff out of here. To the point I'm not even sure where the screws are, so this should be pretty quick. Got my interior trim tools kit. I believe we're gonna go with this guy. He's got a nice pokey end. There's probably a smarter way to do this. And I believe how I lost all these before was doing exactly what I was doing, so let's not do that again. Okay, looks like there should be one right down there that we're missing. I do remember this guy at the top being exciting for some reason. I don't remember that reason though. It is exciting because it just snaps in, so there aren't any little fasteners, so we don't want to break it. So not a huge deal. There are 4 clips on it, and I broke this little post off the middle, which I think is just a centering stud. I may glue it back on, and I just bent that clip up a little bit. Maybe I broke it, I don't know. Nah, it's just bent up. So I'll get a pair of pliers and fix that. So I doubt you can buy new ones. And that's about the best I was able to do, which is not too terribly good. I got a feeling it's gonna go back in without that guy in there. So I'm a big dummy. I didn't need to pull that. I was just having flashbacks from when I did some repair work on the hatch harness and forgot. May as well just pull the speakers while I'm here. Normally there'd be 4 screws in them, and then just the normal Ford style connector, which would be a lot easier to show you once they're out. Standard Ford style connector, there'll just be a little tab here that you have to pry off and it'll pop out. These speakers are in desperate need of replacement, so we'll cover all that in more detail at another time. And I believe our last step, and you're looking at the passenger side here, here's the back seat bolster. There should be a like Christmas tree clip here and here. And of course I lost those a long time ago. And there are some snaps back in there. So just don't pry real hard, and this should just kind of pop off. I already accidentally removed one of them. I'm not real sure what we're gonna do to get it past this. So I've never actually had these out, I just had them loose. And today I need to actually take them out. I'm thinking the move here is to tinker from outside. So I'm betting there's some snaps or something in here. So it sure feels like it. Just try and take it easy. Yeah, there's one right there. One right there. Okay, cool. And this is all the further I've ever had one loose, is just to this point. Actually, I have to remove this for another job, but I think I actually have to take the back seat thingy off of there. These seats fold, but it leaves a little portion behind. And the hook that latches the seats is like right there. And you have to get this thing forward of that somehow. So sure as shooting, you gotta pull the back seat bottom out, flip the remainder of the back seat down, And then I guess there's a bolt down here on these side bolsters you can take out, and then these like pop up and out. It's not as bad as it sounds, but it is annoying. Mostly I'm annoyed by it because getting in here to do it is not that much fun. There are 2 spring clips down here somewhere along the bottom of the seat that you reach in and push in, and that'll release the seat bottom, and then the seat will just pivot up. And once it's out, it'll be easier to show you the clips. Never done this on a 4-door, so I'm kind of hoping I can do it from outside the car. Normally I have to get all balled up in here to do it. And I'm absolutely positive I did not do this on the coupes to do the rear struts, although the Shelton book says you have to. Pretty sure this is wagon and maybe sedan. So if you have a trunk, if you have a normal 2-door hatchback, I don't think you have to go through this trouble. Before I get it all the way out of the car, I'll just show you for reference. So in the car, here's the door jamb, right about there on the seat. So I would say 4 or 5 inches from this seam is the clip. And to release the clip, you just push it in. You can probe around, just stick a screwdriver under the seat, and you can feel back and forth and you'll run into it. Just come out and push it in with the screwdriver. And it's at that location on both sides. Now on my 4-door here, I did not have to ball up inside the car. I just laid the front seats forward. The other side, I didn't even have the rear door open. I just reached in through the window. So this guy is now free to travel. We'll probably find all sorts of treasures under here. We'll have to push the seat belts through, but I don't think we need to go that far. But there's the clip, and here's what you need to push to release it. And then the seat itself just has a stud that engages into. Also, that's the fuel pump access door, which is quite handy. You don't have to drop the tank to do a fuel pump on one of these. Been there many times already. All right, so for fun, I just flipped it forward anyway. I just had to feed those 2 buckles through it to get it to do that. I'm honestly pretty disappointed. I thought we'd see a whole world of like French fries and crayons and crap in here, but no, just some few pieces of dust and lint and crap like that. Disappointing. See if I can find the alleged bolt. I believe that's it right there. Looks like it's probably a 12 or a 13, so I'm gonna get that out of there. Hopefully this side comes out. So that was indeed what was going on. That hook was around a stud, which is where we removed the nut at the bottom. That guy was there. Then there's a hook on the top. So, you know, that sits in the car roughly like that. That hook engages right here. So as soon as you pull that nut off, you then have enough flexibility to push this forward. And when you do that, then you can just pick this right up off that engagement feature and get it out of your way. I don't believe we have any more obstructions to getting the sail panel out. Although maybe it's better to jigger with it from the back, I guess. Feels like it kind of wants to slide up. There we go. Holy carnage on the top of that strut. That upper strut mount is roached. Here's the tail light. There's the harness that comes down for it. And right there is where it connects into the body harness. So this is the opening of the hatch. And that body harness is right there. It'll be that way on both sides. Getting the tail lights out is real easy. There should be 3 screws. Mine's been missing one forever. Pop them out and I think it just kind of picks up and out. Yep. So it's got that little nodule in the bottom. And there's a little mating nub for it. The bulb sockets are like any other. You just give them like a 1/8 turn and they'll just pop out of there. There's a little routing clip feature back here. And then this needs to go away too. So the removable side of the connector is the side that's actually clipped into the car. I'm just gonna pry it off of there. Now we have a little easier access to work on it. Now I just want to push that center tab in and it should separate. And that is what happened. Not a big deal. So our last remaining piece of the puzzle here is just going to be to get the body grommet out. Now the wire harness is free to roam. Let's go get our new guy. For the next phase of our project, we got to prep our rear tail light harnesses. I managed to get one new old stock. As the term implies, completely brand new. Never been touched. I went all out here for a couple of reasons. One, the driver's side taillight in this car has always had problems from the first day I bought it. There's some sort of funky issue going on with the brake light where it basically just works intermittently to the point where it basically doesn't work. And since this is just a pigtailed harness, I can just get a new one and likely eliminate that for my troubleshooting. The other reason is this thing also wasn't very expensive. I think it was, I don't know, 25 or 30 bucks when I got it. At that price, I would have been happy to buy 2 of them, but I was unable to find 2. The other one I have is a pretty gnarly condition one out of a junkyard car that I think I may have actually paid a little bit more money for. And it needs some cleaning. It definitely needs a good going over and taking care of. So that's our next step, is to get our used harness suitable for use. And doing that really isn't going to be anything all that fancy. I have some electrical contact cleaner. This just happens to be the kind I have. And this fancy little file set, which was kind of salty, but it is purpose-built for cleaning electrical terminals and connectors like this. Actually, I think what this is mainly sold for is doing like trailer plugs and trailer harnesses and stuff like that, but it does have all these really tiny little round diamond files, just a whole ton of them. So I should have everything in here that I should need to clean all the terminals, and these little tweezer looking things are actually files as well. They have diamond teeth. This is a really neat little kit. I think this is a little tube of deoxit in here. This is a really neat kit. I will link it in the description for you. So if it's something you're interested in, you can go check it out. But I believe the place I'm going to start is over here. And it looks like there's actually just a fair amount of good old regular dirt down in some of these connectors. But like that one, you can see that one of those connectors is just straight up rusty. So that's no good. But the first thing I'm likely to do is just take these with some brake clean and just try and clean some of the dirt out. Speaking of new old stock, got into my stash and I believe I found like a 10 or 15-year-old can of full flavor chlorinated brake clean. I don't think I've bought any of this stuff in like 10 or 15 years, so not good for you, but it smells interesting. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but there's just a whole bunch of like mud water dripping out. Yeah, you see those little sprinkles that just showed up over there? This thing's just full of garbage. This was really not in very good condition when I got it. Wasn't very happy about it, but I don't really have time or desire to physically go stomp junkyards anymore. And this was the only one I could find on eBay. So, is what it is. Also going to be a fun test of the Harbor Freight Carts paint job. Kind of go around them and give them a little wipe down now. It'll take a little while for the brake clean to actually clean out of the connectors themselves. Out of my file kit, I'm going to go with these tweezers and see if they actually will fit down inside this terminal, or see if like one prong of them will at least. Oh yeah, getting them to do it repeatedly is a little challenging, but yep, and you can see there's debris there on the tweezers now. So this is going to look a lot like exactly what you see for, I'm going to guess, about the next 10 minutes or so. And then I'll probably flood it out with the contact cleaner when I'm done. And the odds are good that somebody's probably thinking this. These are breaker points files, and they are just too dang big to get in connectors like the ones I'm working with. Too bad though, because these are way cheaper. Anyhow, I've got that guy about as cleaned up as I can with these deuterinos. And through the process of doing that, I know that I have actually opened those connectors up a little bit. So when I get done cleaning them out, I'm gonna give them a little bit of crimp action with the pliers. Spoiler alert, I kind of already did that before I started cleaning. So I started cleaning them, you know, like 2 at a time, just like that. These things work great. This guy is ready for some terminal cleaner. It's freaking WD-40 cans. It's nice that you can't lose the nozzles, but half the time they don't seem to work for me. So if you got a pro tip, let me know. There we go. All right, leave him sit for a little while. Now I'm just gonna crimp him back in a touch. Not real hard, just enough. That end should be ready for installation. Next item up for bids is gonna be this guy. He's pretty nasty. Good news is that just some basically Harbor Freight files will mostly get down in here and clean this guy up. And this file is a little more aggressive than those other like terminal tweezers. So I'm gonna do most of my work with this. And then there's like some small parts where it comes up and meets the plastic. I may try it with some of the terminal files, see if I do any better. But again, it's just gonna look like this for about 10 minutes until it's done. So I just did the same stunt with all these, and it might be hard to see on camera, but they actually cleaned up pretty nicely and pretty quickly. Because the only thing that really matters is just the pad down in there. This lead-in edge on the top doesn't do anything. Maybe if I do it just so, you'll be able to see that there's like little kind of brass shiny points in there. I kind of doubt you'll be able to see it on the camera. And I also bent the tabs back in on these just a little bit and ended up breaking one of the plastic tabs off. So this tab right here, I broke the upper portion of it off. These are probably pretty delicate after however many years of service they had. But what those tabs do is they're just there to help retain the light bulb. There's a feature in the base, like the little step right there that they hang on to, and this socket still hangs onto the bulb just fine. One thing I did discover is I can now put different bulbs in this socket than the one it calls for, and all of these are 3057s. But I found a couple other bulbs in my stash that now fit it, which I'm saying is probably not a good thing. I don't think I harmed anything. I think it'll work just fine. And if it turns out this gives me into trouble in the future, you can buy these connector ends still. I think even Ford still sells them as repair parts, but you can definitely get them at like AutoZone, the help aisle, you know, places like that. So if I need to, I can just cut this connector off and splice one in. Anyway, we've got Mr. Used Guy as cleaned up as we're gonna get him. for fear of fixing it more. So the next thing I'm going to fix until they're broken are the housings themselves. These are also both new old stock. This one was without its original box. This one had its original box. That's probably why it has this plastic on it, and there used to be a number on the side. Now there's like some reseller part numbers put on it, whatever. It's still a new old stock lens. And I'll put it out there before we go any further that these are still available new old stock. They're all over eBay and they're not very expensive. So whatever I do, if it goes terribly, I can still fix it with a couple dollars. But what I'm trying to do is make it so these things stop cracking out right down through here. I mean, they were both broken when I got it, and I put two in it already, and I'm not sure if I didn't replace one side twice already, so I know these cars have a propensity for cracking out like that. What I don't know is why. On these newer ones, they've also got a little boot on it for like a drain tube that's supposed to go down, so it can manage atmospheric conditions. It's not actually going to drain anything out of there because that's so much higher than the bottom of the actual light. But I'm not sure if the lenses on this car now have that, and therefore I don't know if it's got the tubes to go down. I'm thinking it doesn't. Plus, since these things already have holes in them, I'm thinking adding another couple down at the bottom so it can actually drain water out couldn't hurt it, because these are not sealed assemblies already. They're already open to the atmosphere. So that is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to try and take it relatively easy here, and I think I'm going to pop like one like right here and another one like right over here. And ultimately I think I'd like those to be 3/16, just because that's a nice decent sized drain hole. And what I don't want to do is drill into where these two parts are. You can see that line right there where these are two separate parts that have been glued or ultrasonic welded or whatever together. So I'm going to want to be about right there in terms of height. I'm going to do my best to mark it and then hit that dimension. And of course it'd be nice to keep it out of the lens as well. Just got a spring-loaded center punch here that I probably won't push on hard enough to make it spring. Well, maybe if I support it kind of against my leg. Yep, that worked out pretty good. You can see the little divots it left. Of course, since these are plastic in a weird shape, I can't easily put them in a vise or anything, so this is probably also about to get done on my knee. And you can probably hear just how slow I'm going. I got about halfway in the hole and I'm hitting red. I'm assuming that lens wraps in. At least that's what I'm hoping for, because, you know, it's over now. There's a hole. So I'm going to keep going. I hope I'm not like drilling through the front of it or something. So that's my 1/8 inch pilot, and it looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and pull the same trick over here. And same story with that guy. I hit some red and I just took it nice and slow and easy. Applied a good bit of pressure and we made two nice clean holes. Now I'm going to supersize them on up to 3/16. So we're going to go from that guy to that guy. Since these already have pilots, they should drill pretty easy. So see if you guys can follow me along on these. Ooh. Easy is kind of an understatement. It's wanting to pull real hard. And that's a good way to crack things. Normally I would want to get some speed up doing this. I really don't want to crack these right off the bat. So yep, I am going to put it back on my knee. So the answer to that was just be really, really gentle with my feed, meaning I was actually pulling instead of pushing the drill, trying to keep it out of the plastic. But again, made a nice hole. See if I can go for two. And that one I did hit with just a little more speed. Two nice holes. And that one I think you can actually see through the lens. At least in person I can. I can't tell if the camera will pick it up or not. Right there. Right above my thumb. But anyway, two holes down. Two more to go on this guy. And there we are. Two more holes. This one got kind of scary. I could actually hear this red lens like really making bad sounds. I also noticed that this guy has a gasket on it that this guy does not. What's interesting is that gasket is heat staked on. So you can see those are actually little plastic tabs that have been melted that hold this on. So it's not like a dealership parts department would be installing those gaskets on these. So this new old stock one must have been an incomplete assembly that was laying around in some warehouse somewhere. I don't think it's going to matter a whole lot, but it does sort of suck. It looks like the ones that are on the car now have them. So I may actually try and grind the tops off of the tabs on the broken lights to salvage that gasket and put it on, and then just take a soldering iron or something to melt those little tabs back down. Swap the gasket over, I guess. Why not? But the next thing I'm going to do is blow those guys out with some air, see if I can get any little plastic pieces out, which I kind of doubt it. But I also sort of want to see if the little holes on the bottom actually seem to have a flow rate. A little bit. And of course, as I go down, it gets better, which makes sense. I don't hear any plastic chunks. And just for fun, let's just stick a light in here. Doesn't really shoot much light out of the bottom at all. Kind of thought it would. It does illuminate, so that'll be kind of a handy feature if the car doesn't have a supernatural glow. The original lens does have a little drain nubbin built into it too, but it's way up at the top. Right at the top of the lens, and there is no mating tube or anything in the quarter panel for it, so I don't know. But you can see these always crack out right down at the bottom. And hey, looks like, I don't know if that was me or someone else had the bright idea to drill holes in them. Given where they are and how they look, that was almost certainly me. So maybe not the droid I was looking for. Either way, we've done it now. But this gasket is not anything like the gasket on the other light. Actually, I take it back. It's the same thing. This one's just not dead from 30 years of sunlight. So I'll see if I can just get that guy popped off of there. Because it is not heat staked on. I think it's just glued on. Certainly glue. Oh boy. I'm probably going to destroy this trying. Yeah, I'm ripping it. Yeah, it was going good for a little while. Maybe. So that one actually just has a profile that pushes in to the light. See if it wants to fit this other one at all. Well, the little plastic nubbins are in a different location for this gasket. They don't actually line up. And this thing is just pretty freaking hard anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it. We tried. This is the literally brand new one. I'm snaked in. May have to lubricate this grommet a little bit to help it get in there. Probably just a little bit of Windex. Windex ahoy. There we go. Almost, there it is. Made things nice and easy. Now the trick is going to be figuring out which one of these is actually what function, but that's okay, because I want to test it before I put the lens on anyway, since I've been having issues with this side. The two functions on the outside, stands to reason, are not the reverse bulbs. And for the reverse bulbs, I've got these Bright Star LED reverse lights that are just insane-o bright, and I've become a big fan of them over the last few years. They're just Amazon LEDs, and they're not very expensive, but they work awesome. So I'm going to position this, and we're going to do a function check on it. And the body side connector actually looks just fine. I think I have cleaned that up in the past while trying to troubleshoot this issue. There, now I've got it all plugged in. Let's go hit some lights and see if they all work. Looks like brake lights are perfectly fine, and that is the one we've historically had issues with. But I've been here before. I've already done this a couple times and thought I had it, so we'll see if it's a long-term fix this time or not. Now we gotta check our super bright reverse lights. And with these, I'm just gonna do this side for right now, and the other side I'll wait until later, so tonight we can come back and get a better look at how bright they are at night, because these things are very impressive. At least when I've used them before, I've been very happy with them. But let's kick them on, and they be working too. Sweet. There's not much left now, but to do a little bit of wire harness routing. And I don't know what this tab is for. It probably makes more sense in the car these actually belong on. Actually, it looks like it might be supposed to screw into there. I'm gonna put the bulbs in first and see what I think. I did mark these while we were testing them. It's like turn signal is supposed to be at the top, although I think these are keyed, so I don't think you can do it wrong. Reverse lamp in the middle, so let's see if we could do it wrong. Not that one. We could screw up brake and turn from the looks of things. Reverse is keyed though, so it only wants to go one way. Yeah, I think you are supposed to probably screw that in and then put this whole grommet assembly through all in one shot. I am not gonna worry about that because it sounds like a big pain in the butt. Yeah, it still has the little tooth lock at the bottom to set it in. I'm just gonna make sure I'm not pinching any wires because it's being a little finicky to get back together here. It's like it doesn't want to drop down enough. Yeah, I think you guys can even see there's this big gap down here. I just need to be a man with it and push hard. Like totally destroy this brake light. Yep, just needed to be a little more gutsy and just push it. And somewhere around here in a box or something, I think I do have the other screws that this deserves. As I keep checking more Escort things off the bucket list here, the boxes to sort through keep getting fewer and fewer, so they'll eventually turn up. And I'm not gonna get them too terribly tight. I mean, they just basically just don't need to fall out of the car. You can see why Ford did it when they redesigned the wagons, you know, a couple years later. That's a much more modern look, at least to me. The amber turn signal light thing is like an international car holdover from the very first Japanese cars in the United States, at least to me. So to me, this kind of thing just screams 80s, where this is a much nicer look. And this side is just going to be second verse, same as the first, kind of. You can see it's not nearly as badly damaged, but we do have a crack in the reverse lamp. I am curious to see if I drilled holes in the bottom of this one too, because I think one of these I replaced twice, and I'll bet it's this side since it's not as bad. Like this one I'll probably hang on to as an emergency spare. So at any time if I needed to, I could swap back to the old schoolless. I'll laugh if this one's full of water. Yeah, and this one does already have one of those eye stars in it, but it's for the different style of socket. So I have been testing this bulb for like 2 years, maybe 3. Yeah, no water in this lens, so this is a good lens. Anyhow, those are all the mysteries that you guys needed to come along to see solved. So I'm gonna get this banged out. I will put a regular bulb in the reverse lamps just for today, and we'll check it out tonight. And then you can see the difference between them. It really is a pretty stark contrast. These reverse lamps are nuts, and it's nice to have really bright reverse bulbs, especially if you're ever out in the country. I got in a hurry on the other side and forgot that I wanted to put a little bit of dielectric grease in these things. If you have never seen this before, this is basically lightly electrically conductive grease. It's probably better to apply it to a bulb and then just use the bulb to apply it to the sockets. So here I've got the bulb. I'm pretty confident it actually came out of that because it's ultra rusty. So I am going to use it as my grease applier, and then I'm just going to throw this bulb away. Actually, I bet for the evening this will probably work just fine for our reverse light. We'll put it in there and we'll see. Turns out she wasn't even good for that. But what I have found that's interesting, and oh yeah, I think you can see it pretty clearly on camera too, is just how much more bright this Silver Star is than this probably not Silver Star that I just had in my stash. They're both Sylvania. In reality, it's a pretty stark difference, and I think the camera shows it pretty accurately too. I bought the Silver Stars just because they're the ones I could get easily and quickly, and they weren't that much more than the long life 3157s. So anyway, this all looks good. Since you're here, we'll check the brakes on this side just cause. Did they work? They sure did. These, since they're old gaskets, I'm gonna lubricate these up with a little bit of probably dielectric grease too, because it should be rubber safe. Throw this whole lens back in just like I did on the other side, and then I'm gonna tear the other side apart and dielectric grease those sockets, and then we'll catch back up at nighttime and we'll show you the difference between this guy, who is a Silver Star, so it should be extra bright already, and the LED backup light. So actually, that's not a fair shootout. There's a fair shootout, and that's how I want them anyway. I want that in my tail light. Actually, let's see if I get lucky and have 3 functioning brake lights now. It's about a 50-50 chance that the center brake light's gonna work because the hatch wiring in these cars hinges and pivots and brakes and stuff all the time. I've already repaired this one once. I probably need to do it again, but we'll see. I've been rolling along with 2 for years, meaning that one and that one, which I think is still the legal requirement, is at least 2, but it sure would be nice to have 3. Let's find out. Woo, gotta love that hot 3-way action. I like the look of the rear of the car a lot better with the solid red. And let's just hope that this is actually the fix, because that has been broken ever since I've owned the car. So now we will come back at night and we'll take a look at the difference in performance between the brake lamps. And in a rare moment of not being the world's laziest turd, I've made the effort to bring this car to the darkest place I can. So we are out in the middle of the sticks in Noble County, Indiana, and the light on the camera is actually on right now. That's as good as it gets. So without the camera light, nothing. So I'm gonna kick the reverse lights on and show you what a difference those bulbs make. They're pretty incredible. I parked the car a little too close to the door to give you the full effect, but I think you can see the idea. You can see there on the driver's side, we've got our aftermarket guy, or our LED guy. Passenger side is stock. From a little further out, I think there's a little bit more contrast there, but tomorrow I'll change out that other bulb and we'll meet back up and I'll show you with both of them on. And here we are the following evening. Although it's not quite as dark, I bet you guys can't tell. In fact, the camera light's on, we'll turn it off, and now you can't see anything. So now both reverse bulbs are in it, and also as a special treat, there's now a grill behind the car. Can't tell if the grill makes anything any more or less impressive. I do really like these bulbs. They are really bright. The camera, of course, just won't do them justice, but highly recommended for the, I don't know, $15 that they cost. They're pretty cool. For me being here in person, trust me, you could totally grill up a burger right now from just my reverse lamps. And wow, those are actually painful to look at. Recommended upgrade. And welcome to another video where I did not really film an end. That is because as I was tearing the rear interior out of this car and going through different iterations of different projects that were going on all at the same time, and the car sat outside for a few days, I discovered that I have a pretty aggressive interior water leak on this thing that's going to require some sort of rust treatment, repainting, whatever, resealing. And I was going to do that, quote unquote, real quick and then just throw the interior back in real fast as well. And that has not happened, and it's been like 6 months. Life got in the way, other things came up. This video became very long anyway. I think it's going to end up being okay that we're going to chunk it out into 2 pieces. Or at least I'm saying it's okay, because that's what just happened. So guys, as always, I want to thank you for stopping in for this video, and we will catch you on the next one. I'm Max, that's Saddington Bear, and we make videos like this all the time. Here are a couple links to some other videos we've made, and we really appreciate you guys stopping in.